meth and I'm alcoholic. So, yeah, it's my first time doing this, so bear with me. I'm probably gonna be nervous, and I don't know. I just found out I was doing this last night, so I guess I started off, man. See, I was born in Denver, and I grew up in South Dakota, a little hole in the wall. I grew up a great childhood, you know, till I was about 7. And that's about the time that I had to start riding my bike down to the bar and picking up my dad, because he was a severe alcoholic, you know. So for my whole life, I was riding my bike down to the bar, picking up my dad, waving at the cops on the way home like, it's okay, guys, I got him, don't worry. And so I didn't drink at all. I loathed alcohol. I hated it. And then when I was about 10, we moved to Las Vegas, Nevada. And it all went downhill from there, you know. I did all right till I hit high school. Once I hit high school, it was bad. Started doing a lot of meth down there. And life just got bad, and I didn't even know it, you know. Got bad before I really realized it. And ended up in prison. Let's see, I don't even know how old I was the first time I went to prison. I went to prison, and now I know this, that I came to AA and got sober and learned a lot about myself through AA, that I was scared when I went in there. So I acted like a tough guy, you know. I wanted to be, oh yeah, don't mess with me, but I was really just petrified. I was a scared little boy. So, you know, I did a couple years in prison and got out. Went right back to meth. It was bad. And then I started cooking meth. And, man, they loved me because I'd do anything they said. You know, I just wanted to be wanted, really. And then I started doing heroin. I think I was about 22. And I've been on heroin ever since then, off and on, even in prison. And man, I did more heroin in prison than I did on the streets. And I joined a prison gang my second time in prison, and I became a very hateful, racist person in there. And I'm not proud to say that at all. And I worked my way up through the ranks. I'm not going to spend too much time on the bad stuff. I want to focus on what my life's like now. You know, I rose my way up through the ranks, and ended up at a maximum security prison up in northern Nevada. I seen a lot of ugly stuff up there. I watched a guy get his head cut off in the cell right across from me. His cell, he cut his head off. You know, we just continued doing heroin in there. And see, then I got out and I came to Texas probably about 6-7 years ago. And I moved to San Leon, Texas. Right back into the Devil's Playground, you know, lots of meth. I got to meet my biological father down there. Never met him before. I moved down to his property. You know, it went good for a while until I ran into one of the local dope dealers and started doing meth again. And I was on parole. I went on the run, went back to prison again. And then I got out, and this time I came down here. Guess where I went? San Leon, right back to the Devil's Playground. And it got real bad. It got real bad down there. That's enough about the bad stuff. So 2/4/23, I decided to go to the wheelhouse because I tried to kill myself the night before that. And God wouldn't let me. I put 1.3 grams of fentanyl in a needle and stuck it in my arm. And yeah, I wanted to die, man. I did. Just because I'm sick, you know, you guys. I wanted to hurt my wife, and I knew that the way that I would hurt her the most is if I removed myself from the situation for good. So that's what I went to do. Well, when I stuck that needle in my arm and I touched that plunger, man, it wouldn't plunge. It wouldn't go. I squeezed it so hard that the plunger broke. And when it broke, I kind of like, oh my God, what are you doing? When I pulled it out of my arm, something in my head went, now touch the plunger. And I did. And it squirted right out like there was nothing wrong with it. And that's when I made the decision, wow, there is something else out there. Something just stopped me from killing myself. Didn't know what it was. So the next morning I went to the wheelhouse, man, and thank God I did. That place saved my life. I sat there and kicked heroin and meth on the couch with absolutely nothing, no detox. You just sit there. I don't know if you guys have ever been to the wheelhouse or any of you guys have, but it's not the most, how do I say this? It's not the most comforting place. You know, they tell you to grab a book and read the doctor's opinion and sit on the couch. So that's what I did. And I ended up staying, man. I did. Thank God I did. Because my life is great. My life is great today. I just got my year chip a couple days ago. I only got one 24-hour chip my entire life. How many of you guys know Will? That's where I met Will at. That's where I met Will at, man. I was sitting there, and you know, he was talking to me, and we were talking about all the things that I wanted to get back. And this was about a week or two into it. You know, I was starting to come out of my fog. Well, about a month ago, I seen Lil Will up there, and he was like, "You realize we sat at this same table, and all the things you said you wanted back, you got them back now?" And that's when it kind of clicked, like, wow, you're right, I do. So my time at the wheelhouse, it was rough. It was rough. We weren't allowed to talk to our house manager. The only time I got to talk to him was when he came out and gave me his clothes, saying, "Here, I fell asleep eating a chocolate bar last night. Can you wash my clothes for me?" So, you know, and then some things happened there where I became the house manager. I had to kick the door in because our house manager was in the room ODing on heroin, and I saved his life there. I also found God while I was there. Well, I don't know if this is going to last a whole hour. So I found God while I was there. When I showed up at the wheelhouse, I didn't believe in God. I didn't. We were on one of their famous wood rides, and I was getting ready to leave. I was going to go get some heroin, and well, fentanyl actually. And I know that had I went out and relapsed, I would have died. So something in my head goes, you know what? Stay and read your page, then leave. That way you can say the wheelhouse didn't work for you. You did what you're supposed to do. When it became my turn to read, I got this overwhelming, just this horrible pain in my stomach. And I fell out on the floor. My arms were going crazy. I couldn't control nothing. And a guy came up, Billy Ray. Some of you guys probably know Billy Ray. Yeah. That man laid his hands on me and started praying for me, and I started sweating, right? And my sponsor, his name's Abraham. He told Billy Ray to go pray for me and put his hands on me because God told him I was being delivered from evil right then and there. And all I'm thinking on the floor is like, what's going on? Oh, wait a minute, I get to go to the hospital and yeah, they're gonna give me some pain meds. Well, when they put me in the ambulance, that's all I could think about. By the time I made it right around the corner to the hospital, I didn't want no pain meds. And something in my head went, what the heck? You're a drug addict. Why don't you want no pain meds? So they go in there, they put me in the little CAT scan thing, and they find absolutely nothing wrong with me. There was nothing wrong with me, you guys. They sent me back. I went back, I slept the rest of the night, woke up halfway through the day the next day, and I was scared. oh man, I'm in trouble. I overslept. I'm going to get kicked out of here. As I'm walking outside, I'm thinking, why am I scared? What's going on with me? And when I open the front door, got a little patch of ugly, half yellow grass right there. And I'm like, man, that grass is beautiful. What? I walk over to our little smoking area and I hear the birds chirping. And I'm like, man, that is beautiful. I'm a hardcore gangbanger from prison. Why do I think all this stuff's beautiful? Well, that day God changed me. He did. I've been a different person ever since that day. I don't have no hate in my heart anymore. And I did not know what was going on at all. As I'm walking back across the parking lot, Abraham, he's just sitting there with his little smile, leaned up against the building. And he says, let me ask you something. Or no, he said, let me tell you something. He said, they didn't find nothing wrong with you at that hospital, did they? I said, no, they sure didn't. He says, I know. He said, that was God removing the evil from you that day. Me and him went and sat down and talked. And that's when I gave my life to God that day. You guys, my life has been amazing ever since I've done that. I've just been a different person, you know? I don't know where everybody's at with the God thing, but wherever you're at, that's where you're supposed to be. I get so much enjoyment now out of helping people. You know, I've hurt people my whole life. That's all I've done is just hurt people just to make myself feel better. And turns out I had self-esteem issues also. Didn't know it. Didn't even know that was a thing, but yeah, I did. I really did. I'm okay with myself today. I'm happy with who I am for once in my life. Man, I got 4 beautiful kids. Oh man, almost forgot about that. So I always thought, I always thought having kids would change me, you know? I always said, man, wish I could just find a girl and have a kid and start a family and be good, you know? Well, it didn't quite work like that. I found a girl, we had a kid, and I was nodding out in the hospital room while my son was being born, you know? With my tablet, recording it like this. Not a good thing, man, you know? So CPS took my son from me. I got my son back today, you know? He's ours again. We did that. It took a little over a year, but we got him back from CPS. And the last time we went to court, the judge actually invited us to. So these CPS hearings, when they put on like a little presentation of all the do's and don'ts and what happens if you don't do right, what happens if you do right. Well, the judge asked me and my wife to come back and teach that presentation. I looked at it, I said, Your Honor, you know, I don't think I'm supposed to be on that side, because the lady telling the presentation was up there at the judge's chair. And she looked at me and she's like, well, maybe you are supposed to be on this side. Wow, okay. Well, let's do it then. So yeah, now me and my wife teach the CPS presentation down in Galveston. So never in my life thought I'd be doing that, you know. My parents are a part of my life again. Well, my mom's not yet. That's one thing. With these amends, man, I wanted to just go full force with it, you know. Let's go make all these amends and make everything right. Woo! It didn't work. It didn't work. I got most of them were like, what are you doing here? Are you here to ruin my life again? Like, oh wow, okay, well, I just came to say I'm sorry, but yeah. So look, you guys, if you guys are working on your amends, just let it run its own course, you know. When the time happens, it'll happen. I just had a guy, one of my best friends from high school that I screwed over royally. He called me and he was like, man, all the money you've stole from me, everything we've done and all the bad stuff you've done to me, don't worry about it, man, I forgive you. And that made me cry. It did. That was so cool, you know, to see people without me wanting recognition for it, you know. Because when I first got sober, the first couple months, you know, I'm like, babe, everything's better now, you know, I'm not, look at me, I'm doing great. And she was just still very, very upset with me, which I get, you know, I get it today. Guys, I get to sleep with my son every night. That's like the biggest thing in the world for me. I have a job. I pay my bills. I'm not out robbing and stealing from people. Yeah, it's amazing what man, when I first came to the Wheelhouse, I looked at that book and I said, how the hell is a book gonna keep me sober? It does. It tells you step by step, day by day, what to do to stay sober. And if you just do what it says, no more, no less, follow the clear-cut directions in the book, and all these promises will come true. I guarantee that. I didn't even know about the promises until one night Lanier was like, hey, go read those. And I said, man, that's all coming true. I'm so grateful for Alcoholics Anonymous that, man, this another thing I used to hear people say, everything I have today is a direct result of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm like, what do you, get out of here, you guys are crazy. But everything in my life that I have today is a direct result of this program. This program has changed me as a person, saved my life. I've become a productive member of society today. I have, and it's cool, man. It really is, you know. We get to go out and hand out donuts to all the homeless people, you know. We get to go help people, and it's so cool. It's so amazing to be able to help people and to just genuinely see people being grateful, you know. In Las Vegas, you don't get that a lot, you know. I like Texas. You come down here, you hold the door for a little old lady and she don't clutch her purse. In Vegas, they do. They do. So I got to work on myself for a little extra time at the Wheelhouse, because you know the Wheelhouse it's a 30-day program, then you got a 60-day program, and then you can go to sober living. You know, the first 30 days you stay there, you don't do nothing. You stay there and you read the big book. Well, I made it through the 30 days, and then a week into the 3/4 section is when I kicked the door in and I became the house manager. You know, so I got to start helping people, and I got to sit in my office and and work on myself a little more. You know, I didn't have to go find a job and start paying rent and make a meeting and read with a couch guy. Oh, that's another thing. I find it so helpful when I'm struggling. I go to the Wheelhouse instead of the dope man's house now. I go to the Wheelhouse and I find one of them new guys and I ask them, where are you guys at in this book? And we sit down and start it over. And it gets you out of yourself. I go to church now. I take my son to church, my daughter's to church. Today's my daughter's birthday. She turned 8 years old. You know what she did? She woke up and said, Daddy, I want to go fishing. So we went to Walmart. She bought her a little frozen fishing pole, and we went fishing today. And we caught a fish. we went out to the Baytown Nature Center, and that place is amazing if you guys got kids. Costs like $5 to get in. They got a huge park. Take your kids out there and enjoy life, man. Because that's what all this is about, is enjoying life with your family, you know. We're still working on getting one of my daughters back. You know, that's taking a little more time. She lives with her grandpa. But they just told us today that next summer she's coming to live with us for good. You know, my father-in-law, he wouldn't even let us come into our house when we would go pick our daughter up. He'd have all her stuff packed out front. We'd pull up, he'd put it in the car, and we'd drive away. Well, today we get to go inside their house. We sit down and eat with them. You know, my dad calls me and he's like, hey, I'm proud of you. I ain't never heard that in my life, you know, never. Let's see, when was it? About a month or two ago. No, I think it's been almost 6 months now. So don't know, am I supposed to talk about God or not here? It don't matter? All right, we're talking about some God. So look, you guys, I'm big on God, you know. I did not believe in God, and I've seen miracles happen in front of my face. There was a guy that came to the wheelhouse, and he was literally dying. In and out of the hospital every couple of days. All his organs were shutting down. And he came back from the hospital, and he says, I don't know what to do. I'm going to die. And I said, you know what? No, you're not. You're coming to church with me. And so we're sitting there, and he's sitting in the row in front of me. And does anybody need any prayers? And I'm like kicking the bottom of his seat. Come on, raise your hand. That's why you're here. So I'm like, so the whole congregation comes over there, and they put their hands on him and started praying for him. And right in the middle of it, he got the worst bloody nose I've ever seen in my life. You know, this guy started bleeding very bad. And you know what I said? Thank you, God, there's the miracle. Well, the next day he was on the liver transplant list. The next day he went to the hospital to get his checkup, and they said, you know what? You don't need it. We're taking you off the list. Your liver's healing itself. God delivered him that day. He saved his life. He healed him from the inside out. And it was amazing. I got to see a picture. So while I was in the wheelhouse, I went and helped these old ladies move, right? And we packed up her whole apartment, moved it over to her sister's house, and we worked our butt off that day. And at the end of the day, she gave us $40 a piece. And I wasn't mad, you know? If that would have happened back in the day, I'd have went and put everything back and been like, nope, not doing it. Thank you, but no thank you. And I was actually happy to be able to help her. So we didn't quite get everything done. We spent most of the day in this shed that was, if you guys ever seen that show Hoarders? It was just like that, okay? We spent most of the day in that shed that nobody touched in 9 years, and it was disgusting in there, but we cleaned it all out, and the lady was moving into it. It was a big shed. So at the end of the day, she was like, man, I wish you guys could come back and help me, but you know what? I can't afford to pay you. I said, you know what? We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to come do service work for you. She said, what's service work? I said, you don't have to pay us. We're going to just come help you. So the next day we went, and at lunchtime, you guys, oh man. So we're sitting there, and this lady come out, and she brought us all this homemade food, and we're eating it, and she looks at her sister, and she goes, can I show them the picture? And in my mind, I'm like, oh gosh, because this lady just got ecstatic, like, yeah, show them the picture. Like, what? Okay, here we go. So when she showed us this, well, first she told us a story about a 9-year-old little girl who was her granddaughter, and this little girl was I don't know exactly what was wrong with her, but she kept going in for all these super serious surgeries, and the week of the surgery, the whole family would just start freaking out, you know, crying, getting sad, and this little girl is just still bouncing around, beaming with light, and telling these adults, you guys, you don't have to worry, I'm not gonna die. It's not my time yet. A 9-year-old little girl is telling these adults this. And so she said that up until the last 2 surgeries. Well, this picture that they showed us was the third surgery before she passed away. And it's the night before the surgery. They're all in the hospital, and it's the little girl, the mom, the dad, and then the grandma. And shining down on this girl is just the most brilliant white light that you've ever seen, and it's only touching her, and then it goes up and it fans out across the top of the picture, and coming down out of the other side of the picture is an arm, and it's like wrapping around the front of the family. It's like translucent, you could kind of see through it, and this old lady tells us, that's my dead sister's arm. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, if that makes you feel better about it, I guess. And then she takes her phone and she zooms in on the hand, and there's a ring on the finger. And she tells us, you guys ready for the best part? And she scrolls down through all her pictures, and she pulls up a picture of her sister. and I'll be God. Ooh, it was the same ring. She zoomed in on that on her hand, and it was the exact same ring that was in that picture. Her sister died 10 years before that girl was born. At the end of the day, she tried to hand us $9 a piece, and I told her, no ma'am, I don't want it. That picture is worth more than any amount of money that anybody could ever give to me. Now I know that God is real. I know God is real. You know, that was another one of them little spiritual awakenings right there, or experiences, awakenings, whatever they are. And she continued to tell us. So the little girl, the last 2 surgeries, she wasn't happy no more. And the night before the surgery, all she kept doing in the hospital was talking about all the people in the room. She's like, there's so many people in here. And so they closed the little curtains. They take all the pictures, everything off the wall, and the little girl still talks about all the people. And the next surgery, she passed away. But this time she said there was a man standing at the foot of her bed waiting for her. And she told her family that she was going to die, that she wasn't going to make it after this one. How does a 9-year-old little girl know that? Because Jesus was standing at the end of her bed with his arms ready to accept her into heaven, you know? And I had somebody ask me, if somebody offered you $1 million, but you had to forget that you ever seen that picture, would you do it? I said, absolutely not. Because of that picture, I know God is real today. You know? God is amazing, man. God answers your prayers. May not be when you want it to, but you know, well, we call it 12:59. That's God's time. He's going to make you wait till the very last second when you really, really need it, and then he's going to give it to you, you know? I don't worry no more. I know that I'm going to be okay as long as I keep doing the next right thing and helping others. And I got baptized. I never in my life thought I would see that, you know? That was an amazing thing. It was. Never in my life. I went from being a general of a skinhead prison gang, you guys, to helping others and loving everybody, you know? I realized this while I was at the wheelhouse. We were sitting there eating chicken one night, and one of my best friends in the world is black, right? And we lived under the same roof for years. And I never sat at the kitchen table and ate with that man because of the color of his skin. And that's pathetic, you guys. It is. It's pathetic, you know? And then one night we're sitting there, and this old man, Scotty, he eats about 3 or 4 pieces of chicken. He's still got a couple pieces left. And he's like, here, you want this? And without even thinking about it, I reached over there and I started eating it. And that's a big thing in my life, just because of where I came from, you know. I did grow up a very hateful, racist person, and I'm not that person today. You know, God has changed me. I love everybody now. Everybody. It's amazing. Well, I don't even know what else to say, you guys. Life is good, man. It really is. Life is good. You know, I don't know, I got the chance to make something with my life now. I do, you know. I actually get to go, my sponsor Abraham just asked me to come start an electrician's apprenticeship with him. So I get to start a career now, you know. Thank God I work with, everybody that I work with is sober, you know, so that really helps a lot. I've completely changed everybody that I hang out with. If you are not in the program or you're not sober, I don't want nothing to do with you, you know, and that really helps a lot. The only time I do, we have went to San Leon a few times, but it's to pick people up and bring them to rehab, you know, trying to help people get their lives together. That's my favorite thing to do, is help people now. It really is. It's from somebody that has just hurt people so much that I love helping people today. I don't know what else to say. It's my first time, so I got a little over a year now, a year and a couple days, but I only focus on the day, one day at a time, you know. People tried to tell me it's one day at a time. I don't got no more time than you or you or you. I got today, you know. I almost relapsed right before I hit a year. Me and my wife were fighting, and I was walking back from the store, and I found a blunt roach. I picked it up and I took it home and I set it down outside my door. I went inside to make sure my wife was busy, and when I came back out, God blew it away. It was gone. It was gone. God blew it away. I sat there, and you know what I did? I said, thank you, God. Thank you, you know? Thank you, God. Yeah, that's all I got, guys. Thank you, guys.